Hey, everybody. Um, I am wanting to share a Mother's Day tribute for all you mothers out there. Being a mom is one of the hardest jobs there is, if not the hardest, right? Being there for your children as they grow up, and then letting them go when they're ready to go, and how heartbreaking that is, right? Our job as a mom is to raise humans to leave, right? To love them unconditionally, to be there for them, to try to teach them a few things, and then to let them go. That's truly what unconditional love is. So I wanted to share a little bit about my own story of how two really important moms in my life saved me. Why I am here because of two special moms. So, the first mom gave birth to me, and I was adopted in 1964, actually. I was born in 1963, but I was adopted in 1964. And it was because of a 16-year-old woman who in 1963 became pregnant with me and made the courageous decision to have me and put me up for adoption, knowing at 16 that she was not the right fit, it was not the right time, and wanting, this is what I truly believe, right? Wanting me to have a life that was full of opportunity and a life that had someone who had more experience than her. So I want to tribute, this is a tribute to her for her courage, her bravery, and what she endured during that whole time of being pregnant with me and what she probably has endured since. I know from a fact that I know friends of mine, women that I've coached, have been on both sides of giving birth and putting someone up for adoption, and also making the decision to abort, and understanding without judgment whatever decision a woman wants to make. That is why I feel it's kind of my honor to be able to say thank you to someone who chose what she chose. So that's the first mom that saved my life, was mom number one, who carried me for 9 months and then gave birth to me and allowed me to grow up in the home that I grew up in. And what's really interesting is the second mom, obviously, in this story is my mom, who my mom, she's my mom, right? And adopted mom, no such thing, right? She's my mom. And my mom passed away 2 years ago. This is 2022, 2 years ago in 2020, on May 7th, which is just around the corner. And so, my mom, some of you have read this story, some of you know this story, but um, when I was 11, I went on a diet and just kept losing weight continuously. She knew something was wrong. I was disappearing in front of her eyes. I remember distinctly the day that she had me strip down to my underwear and stand in front of the mirror and ask her, she's sitting on the bed, she asked me, "What do you see?" And because I was anorexic at the time, I had anorexia nervosa, I saw what my brain told me to see within this disease. My brain was not fueled. My brain saw a disfigured person. It's body dysmorphia. So my brain was not seeing what was in the mirror. And all I could tell her was that I see fat, and I would pinch myself. And she saw frail, right? She saw very, very thin, sickly skin, thin, scared to death. And so there's pain in her eyes. I remember it distinctly. There's embarrassment, shame, and anger within me. I remember being so mad and angry with her. What do you think I see? Right? Being, not wanting to even look at myself, full of self loathing. And she, my mom, who passed away a couple of years ago, was the bravest woman. She knew I needed help. She knew something was wrong. She had no idea what it was. And anorexia nervosa back in 1975 was not something that was well known. It was hush hush. It was just something that was beginning to kind of start to emerge. I'm sure it was there earlier than that. Karen Carpenter, when she died from anorexia, I think that was late 70s. So that kind of brought light to anorexia nervosa, and that kind of gave people, there was more research. There was very little, but more. And there was more books available. There was more understanding around it, because there had to be, because girls and women had been suffering. So she did endless searching. I know that just from the stories that I've heard, that my mom and my mother and my father had some really strong disagreements around how things were going with this kind of search for her, that she was determined to find something. And she found a book by Hilda Bruch probably, on eating disorders. And that was what then she just knew what to look for. And she got me a therapist. And so I went to a therapist. I ended up in the hospital. It wasn't an eating disorder place. It was just a mental place for mental disorders, right? So that's where I was for over a month. And I healed enough to do normal kid things, right? I healed enough so that I would eat. I healed enough so that I wasn't purposely starving myself. And yet, eating disorder brain, ED as they call it, still was in my head. It just had been pushed to the back. And so I had relapses with disordered eating. I was a disordered eater most of my life. So disordered eating, but also a couple of relapses with exercise bulimia in college, and exercise bulimia in my 40s, my early 40s. And it wasn't until I got help the second time around, after trying some help here and there, but not really trying to help myself, that I came out of all of it. And part of my disorder was pregnancy on itself, right? And part of the things that I have forgiven myself for, but I am sad about, is how entrapped still I was in diet culture and society's thin ideal, and in self-loathing when my daughters were growing up. So being pregnant gave me freedom from food and from the negative self-talk. And then after pregnancy, the same thoughts and behaviors flooded back in. Thoughts, feelings, and behaviors flooded back in. And as a mom and as a recovered eating disorder survivor, uh, saying thank you to my daughters as well for their grace and for their understanding of my own disorder, and how I can now be a different kind of role model. And as moms, how can we? That's why it's the hardest job in the world, being a mom. Because as a mom, they see everything. our children, young people, see everything we do, not just our words, not just what we say to ourselves or say to them. It's conversations that they overhear. It's when you're talking on the phone, talking about the next diet plan, or if you're joining the work weight loss or the neighborhood weight loss challenge. They see you looking in the mirror, pulling at your clothes. They see the scale every day, right? So how, as moms, can we impact our next generation? We can do that through modeling behavior that we know is supportive. How would we want our children to be? How would we want our children to talk to ourselves? How would we want our children to eat? We would want them to be able to enjoy food. We would want them to be able to enjoy all foods, not just one particular food or one particular food group, or a clean or an unclean, right? There's no such thing. How do we want our children to treat their bodies? What does that look like? So how can we as moms heal our own relationship with our body, with food, with exercise, with our negative thought patterns, by taking care of ourselves? And by that, I mean taking care of yourself. As a mom, the most important person you can take care of is you. And yet you are the one that gets put on the back burner to make sure everybody else's things are taken care of. If you fill your cup, you get to be your best self with your children. So how can we change the conversation around food, weight, and body, and turn the conversation to, I am a mom, and I'm going to be the best mom that I can be. I'm going to role model the behavior that I want my children to follow, and I am going to slip up, and I'm going to share that with them too. And we're not perfect. And how can I take care of me so I can take care of you? There's a great book, 1 Minute for Myself by Spencer Johnson. 1 Minute for Myself by Spencer Johnson. And it's taking care of me allows me to take care of you in a better way if I'm not taking care of me. So this is going out to you on Mother's Day. So if you're a mother, I thank you. I appreciate you. I understand how hard you're working. Forgive yourself for the things that you might regret. Forgive yourself for the things that you wish you had done. Because I think about this book, the mom I wished I was. But if I look at my daughters right now, what would that have done? I don't know, because they're amazing human beings, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So forgiving yourself, taking ownership and taking responsibility of our own mistakes, and allowing those conversations to bloom within a family, between mothers and daughters, between mothers and sons. You are important. You're important enough to take care of. You should go on the top of the list. I bow my hat to you, moms of the world. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the endless sleepless nights and the endless worry that kind of comes with being a mom. You deserve the highest, grandest award. So on this Mother's Day, I want to say thank you to my two moms who saved my life. The only reason I'm here is because of them. And to say to you, you are enough as you are. And are you willing to give yourself permission for grace and self-care, and know that you're enough just as you are? That is all. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day, and thanks for watching.